I am that man, your man, the illustrious tour guide Cole Johnson, and we're going to visit a guy who needs to keep his mouth shut, rules that need to go away for good, and we're going to, of course, go in, send an email, and have Adult of the Week as well. But those other details are for later. For now, let's get to the headlines. In Los Angeles County, where Vanessa Bryant settled her remaining claims with Los Angeles County for almost $29 million, $28.85 million to be exact, over photos that deputies shared after a helicopter crash back in January 2020, which killed her husband, which, of course, her former husband was former Laker and Hall of Famer Kobe Bryant, and their 13-year-old daughter, Gianna, along with 7 others. Now, the settlement includes jury already awarding Vanessa Bryant in August in a settlement during a federal court trial. Now, the lead lawyer for the Los Angeles County, Mira Hashbone, said that basically the case called for the settlement and it was fair and reasonable, and that it said it resolves all outstanding issues relating to pending legal claims in state court and future claims by the Bryant children and other costs, also with other parties responsible for the respective attorney's fees. Now, I think this is something that is settling for Vanessa and for her 3 surviving daughters. And I think that the fear that she had of having all of this to be discovered in a way that it shouldn't, I think it really is a good thing. I say it's a great thing. And I think now the whole family can go forward and hopefully they can, shine a bigger light than they can on Kobe's memory and on Gianna's. Again, congratulations, Vanessa. You definitely deserve that, to have that settlement happen. And hopefully things will go well for you from this point forth. From the gridiron from the hardwood to the gridiron. And we heard this from new Broncos head coach and former Saints head coach Sean Payton. The Philadelphia Eagles have been targeted for a rugby-like scrum setting during 3rd and 4th and short, where virtually the quarterback takes the ball and quarterback sneaks it, but someone behind him pushes him forward in hopes of gaining an extra yard or 2 and pushing the line forward further. Peyton wanted to have that play abolished. The Eagles are fighting back and saying that this tactic should stay in place. So the tactic of pushing the quarterback from behind on sneak plays has generated significant conversations at the scouting combine, including the rule makers of the league. The Eagles, though, of course, are defending it, and as they should. I would too. The Eagles executive vice president and general manager Howie Roseman, he had this to say yesterday about it. Quote, "All I know is everything we're doing is legal and it works. And just because people do something that's really good doesn't mean it should be outlawed." Close quote. The reason I think why people are complaining about it is that the Eagles converted 29 of 32 quarterback sneaks in 2022, in part because of their habit of using their teammates to push Jalen from behind, while he also plowed ahead using his powerful lower body and grinding out extra yards. In 2005, though, the NFL removed language from the rulebook that prohibited pushing a ball carrier forward, and it really wasn't taken advantage of until this past year by the Eagles. NFL Executive Vice President of Football Operations Troy Vincent said that the league's competition committee debated the rule at length this past week, and the group plans and intends to revisit the topic when it convenes in April. Here's all you need to do. Should the rule be instituted that teams should not ever help a quarterback push him from behind in, I guess you could say, a rugby-like scrum during a quarterback sneak. Should it be outlawed? Should it be banished? Should it be stricken from the record books? Meaning adjourned. That's all you need to have happen, because that rule is necessary. Straight up, straight out. All you need to do is say, that's good, keep it. Defense, stop them. And if you have to do the same and take a safety or a cornerback and shove a middle linebacker in the middle of the pile, then so be it. Do it. I don't see anything harmful or injurious about it. It's football. It's supposed to be physical and somewhat violent, but it's supposed to be physical. And it's supposed to be the lowest man wins. And if you're not low enough, you get blown out the way. And if you are, good. And if you feel as though that this team, if you feel as though this team is taking advantage of something, guess what you need to do? On the field, stop it. Not off the field. You don't need to have head coaches and general managers turn politicians to the shield and go to New York and say, well, this is outrageous. This is an unfair competitive advantage. No. Line up and stop it. And if you can do it, good. If you can't, that's on you. That is not on a team taking advantage of a rule. Get out of here, man. Look, sometimes men on the field, in this case, need to take care of things, not have politicians take care of it. Come on now. Stop it on the field, not off it. Now, speaking of on the field, let me see. Oh, yeah. Or I should say off the field, but on the field. Aaron Rodgers, he went on a dark, what do you call it? Retreat. And a decision will be made soon as to his. We interrupt this broadcast to bring you a special report from Cole Sports. This just into the Cole Sports news desk. Former Georgia star Jalen Carter, one of the top prospects in next month's NFL draft, he has been charged with reckless driving and racing in connection with a crash that killed a teammate and a recruiting staff member. Now, the Clark County, or the Athens and Clark County Police Department, has issued an arrest warrant for Mr. Carter, obtained earlier today, which alleges that Carter was racing in his 2021 Jeep Trackhawk against a 2021 Ford Expedition driven by the recruiting staff, which was a 24-year-old young man, which led to the wreck back in January. Now, the announcement came after the Atlanta Journal-Constitution reported that Carter was present at the scene of the crash and later provided shifting accounts of the wreck to police. Currently, Carter is in Indianapolis at the NFL Scouting Combine. He has been slated to speak to reporters as part of a previously scheduled media availability, but a league spokesperson later told reporters that Carter would not be available because he and 5 other players were still conducting physicals. And as far as the legal part of it, reckless driving and racing are both misdemeanors in the state of Georgia. We'll have more on this when things break down. But NFL prospect Jalen Carter, he has been charged with reckless driving in the state of Georgia. This has been a special report from Cole Sports. Now, back to your regularly scheduled programming, already in progress. Washka, your butt needs to retire now. And that concludes today's headline. To the VIP zone. No, I take that back. We will take a break. And when we come back, we will discuss the Lakers' chances of making it to the 2023 playoff pool. And before we do that, we will visit the VIP zone for the first time in this episode. You're watching and listening to Cole Sports with a Z. Be right back.
You have to learn to live with yourself before you can make a commitment of yourself to someone else.
When you go to something that's already structured, like the church, I don't need to go in there thinking I'm the pastor. It's like already one set up. You know what I'm saying?
It just had everything. But I learned, you know what I'm saying? Everything I did, I learned from.
So we look forward to seeing you same time, same place. Know that we love you, God loves you more. Continue to stay safe, do the right thing, stay out of trouble.
Conversation that informs a community. Brothers of Legacy. Every weekday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern. Quinn.
Moment of clarity. I haven't watched BT in years.
KP.
Drake needs to come back with another triple platinum album.
E. Digger.
And then you have Ray J. Like, I can't stand that River Cricket.
The Guru.
Okay, the level of crack she's smoking, I don't want it.
BS3 Network proudly presents the Knucklehead Chronicles podcast, where from card tips to hot topics to meet of the week, anything goes. Live every Sunday at 2:30 p.m. Central. Welcome back, Cole Johnson, Cole Sports, and I feel free today. It's a wonderful day and wonderful shows that you just seen. One of them you will catch on BS3 Network via Roku TV, as you will catch this show every Friday, 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern, and I think it'll be worth your while. Now, to the VIP zone we go. Victor Locke, the first guy to appear, he says, ladies and gentlemen, welcome one and all to the classiest sports show on the planet. Cole Sports with the Z. And now here's the star of the show of Cole Sports, Cole Johnson. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Ryan McCarthy of the No Credentials Required and Have Another Donut fame says, on your mark, get set, it's time for Cole Sports with the Z. He went on to also say, wait a minute. Doesn't this fool realize that rugby is a grandfather of football? Fool. Thank you. 100%, Ryan. You would think this would be logical and they would understand it. And it was like, okay, yeah, let it happen. Let it go. Sup to the owner, the manipulator, and the operator of the BS3 Network, as I just mentioned him. Ben Sutter says, what's up? What's up to you, brother? Drew Willingham of the In or Out Sports Debate on Legacy Maker Sports Network. He says, Cole Sports. Glad to see you, my man. He also says, glad to be able to make it while live. I'm glad. I'm glad you're here, brother. He also says, handle your own problems. Thank you. See, we here. Thank you, Drew. We here, brother. Ryan says, look, the job of your defense is stop the offense. Besides, the offense has way too many rules to help as it is. Peyton's just crying for crying's sake. Yeah, I agree. Drew Willingham talking about Aaron Rodgers with his wonderful darkness retreat. He says psychedelic retreat. Of course. One Mr. Ayahuasca. Vidalak agrees with you, Ryan. And then my brother from another snowman himself. He says pitch clock, trace, pitch clock, trace. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Drew says Mr. H, laughing hard. He also says, always, man, always love the transitions, man. Inspirational. Thank you. I appreciate that. We should all be inspired with one another. We should all be. And here's Victor with an ad. This Headlines of Cold Sports is brought to you by Aaron Rodgers Vapes. Guaranteed to give that championship flavor all year round. Except in January. Joseph Raymond, thank you for joining, brother of the show. He says, look, pitch clock's the best thing ever. Sorry, Snowman, but you're wrong. We'll discuss that a little later. But we're going to talk now, though, about the Lakers' chances. That's right. In their 111-108 victory, or should I say in the Mavericks 111-108. The fortunes of the team seemed to take a shift late in the third quarter of that game when we saw LeBron make a move, basically put too much weight on the right foot, fell down to the ground, and he said, quote, I heard a pop, close quote. And now I have to construct a wonderful email because I think it's time that one is created. Excuse me. Email Los Angeles Lakers. Subject of email. NBA's Mr. Glass is your savior. Body of email. Well, after that victory, Mr. LeBron James now is wearing a boot.
Come on!
No, I'm not speaking Canadian saying about. He is wearing a boot.
Come on!
And no, Vince, I feel the same way. Look, after the All-Star game when LeBron was talking mad trash saying, quote, these last 23 games are going to be the most crucial of my career, close quote. He will be missing many games. He's already missed one because last night the Lakers took a crushing, debilitating and now LeBron has people saying,
you've got to be joking me.
I mean, Bron sexuals are saying,
you've got to be joking me.
Lakers Nation are saying,
you've got to be joking me.
Well, I take it back. Lakers Nation actually is saying this.
This whole thing stinks to high heaven.
And that's been the case ever since the summer of 2018. All right. You all are touting the fact that this guy, let me see. I'm sorry, I'm doing this wrong. You all are touting the fact just like Shannon Sharp did and saying, quote, I mean, the brother's going 38-7. I mean, he got to be the best player in the game. I mean, who done it? Who done it this long? Who done it 20 years? Nobody but Bron. Nobody but Bron. Close quote. And see the joy and pain like sunshine and rain of the fact that this guy is 38 years old. Him doing all of this is wonderful. But you got to take the fact that when he's injured, you get this for action. See, Father Time is undefeated. And probably one of the most spectacular specimen we've seen in NBA history is now having to deal with the fact that he can't just rise up and just go. No. He's going to have to take care of his body, just like every senior citizen in the age group of 35 and older. Which makes it more remarkable when people like Michael Jordan, who at the age of 40 played 82 games. I find that amazing that even at that age, at advanced of age, he find a way to play all 82 games. I'm like, how could he have done that? And now, Yo Kang, Bronxsexuals, Yo Kang is benched. And in lieu of Yo Kang being benched, Mr. Glass, come on down. You're now the contestant of Can We Take This Bum Team Wearing Purple and Gold to the Playoffs? Kawhi. Now, this is not an indictment against Anthony Davis as a player. The dude, when he's on the court, is absolutely awesome. I mean, there isn't anything to discuss. When he's on the court, he will give you 25 or 26 and 13, and he'll probably give you a couple of blocks because defensively, he is awesome. Probably give you more than 2, probably give you 3. When he's on the court and healthy, he is a contributor. The problem is he can't stay on the court long enough. That is the overarching, overbearing number one problem. Mr. Davis cannot stay on the court long enough to make the impact that he needs to make on this team. Double, especially when the player that most people depend on on that team, being LeBron James, is now in his 20th season and is 38 years of age, and the tread is so worn on the tire, so worn, that he actually plans to take days off. That he literally plans to take off time because it is just too much and too damaging. It is just too hard of work for him to keep up with the grind of having to be the guy 24/7, 365. I mean, don't write me and say that I'm wrong. All you have to do is just look at all you have to see, which is simple. Look at the stats. In the 62 games that the Lakers have played this season, LeBron's only played 47 of them. So he's already missed 15. He will miss more. And when he does miss that more, the team is going to suffer. And it's unfortunately going to suffer because you probably will get a spike with Davis feeling his oats. But the problem, though, with that is once he feels his oats, he might tweak his ankle. He might twist his knee. He might get an elbow to the stomach. Who knows what he's going to receive, but he's going to receive something to where he's going to feel the need to sit. And there is your problem. Therein lies the problem. Therein lies your issue.
What?
I said that Mr. Davis is going to sit.
What?
He's going to be benched.
What?
He's going to be sidelined.
What?
He's going to carry the weight, but sitting on the bench. I mean, that's just how it goes. Come on, Leon. I'm telling you the truth. That is how it's going to break down. They need to have Anthony Davis. Basically, they need Anthony Davis to do the 38-7, but not necessarily LeBron style. He has to do it his own style. So basically, he has to go 30-15-3. And when I mean 3, I mean 3 blocks. Add about 4 or 5 assists to that total too. But he's going to have to do something along those lines to make an impact, to make a difference. If not, what you're going to see is a team languishing hard.
You for real?
Yes, Teddy, I'm for real. I'm as for real as that. I'm for real as that perm on your head. Anthony Davis, he needs to be healthy, and he needs to give the Lakers 30, 15, and about 5 assists and 3 blocks in order for them to even stand a chance to sniff the play-in round, let alone be in the playoffs. So now the Lakers have 22 games left now? No, 21 games left now. Okay. A show of hands. Who believes? Who out of the whole audience, and I mean the VIP zone too, those who are watching on BS3 on Roku TV, those listening. Who do you believe? Who out you believes that Anthony Davis will be playing every single game for the Lakers from here until when their season is over? Thank you, Keith. Yes, nobody believes that. Why? It is quite simple. The paint has a handicap insignia on it. You all need to have wheelchairs or walkers, because you all break quicker than someone dropping a vase on the ground. I mean, we have to plan out days for LeBron to be out. And it's to the point where it's like, well, we have to come back and reevaluate in 2 weeks. Well, I can give you that reevaluation assessment right here and now. He's gone for the year. He's gone for the year. LeBron's gone for the year. He's gone for the year.
Yes!
It's just simple. The man is 38, and if he gets on the court, it means that he's going to hurt himself worse than he already is now. And he's on a boot now, and we're in the early March. So do you think in 6 weeks that he goes from boot to being 100%?
No!
He's hurt, and he's going to be injured probably from this time all the way into the offseason.
You've got to be joking me.
No, Iconics, I'm not joking you. Hurt, hurt, hurt. And it's unfortunate. So, Lakers Nation, Laker fan, Lakers organization. The Lakers, they will make the playoffs. Survey set. All right, Bron. Get the Twitter fingers ready and type to your heart's content that you will be saddened that you won't make the playoffs a second straight May, and that you're sitting at home watching it happen. And why? Just look at your boot. That's all you need to see. And that's all I need to say. Bye-bye, Lakers. 2023 was a wonderful year. It just wasn't even a championship nor playoff one. Cole Johnson, Cole Sports with a Z at gmail.com. You're listening to the classiest sports show on the planet. Cole Sports! From the vault, a look back at a key moment in sports history. setting World Series records at the time for home runs with 18, runs with 42, RBI with 40, and total bases 125, and bases on balls with 43. The three-time AL MVP decided to call it quits on this date in 1969.
From the vault, brought to you by Cole Sport.
I want to do a TED Talk, but I don't have anything to talk about yet. I'm getting there.
Life is for the living. We're not here that long.
You can learn anything you want to learn without any money spent.
What do I really enjoy? What do I really want out of life?
I am your host, WIZE. Are you in a life-holding pattern? Well, this is for you. Welcome to the Stuck in My Mind podcast. This is a BS3 Network presentation.
I want to show that attainability. I want to show the accessibility of this kind of lifestyle.
From social media to having conversations with friends and family, you always have to put on face and say face.
What brings a smile to my face is the one person that totally believes in me, and that's my beautiful wife, Jody.
I just had to stop because I didn't value myself. I didn't love myself. And it's like, I have to learn to love myself.
Changing the world one conversation at a time. This is Revelations.
Welcome back to Cole Sports. Cole Johnson here. And before we get to the wonderful part of the segment where we get to trash somebody, back to the VIP zone we go. Ryan McCarthy says, look, I'm still laughing over the fact that Cole broke character this morning. We'll talk about Snowman in the morning. Great segment. Thank you. Drew saying the smoky sound effect. Yeah. Drew says, look, I agree with Joseph. I have something about that in the next segment. Drew says, look, I heard a pop. You didn't feel it? I was like, that's cold. Joseph says, look, NBA players get hurt way too often for how much they get paid. And Charles Barkley actually said something of the like. He said, look, they get paid now, some 30, some 40, some almost 50 million a year, yet they schedule some time off. Yeah, it's cheating the fans out of actually the experience of seeing them, and it actually hurts the game long term. Joseph also says, look, they have multi-million-dollar facilities and the best medical staffs money can buy. Yeah, 100, they do. And that's the problem. You would think that because you have the best medical care that you possibly can have at the moment, the state-of-the-art stuff, facilities as well as practitioners, that this wouldn't be a problem, but it is. And it's almost as if it's like we're seeing NBA players going through quiet quitting, but I will talk about that in another time. Victor says, look, I'm guessing this year LeBron and Anthony Davis are vying for the coveted oh my leg award. Yeah. Oh, Ryan, in answering the question, who actually believes that Anthony Davis will for the rest of the year be healthy and bring the Lakers to the playoffs? He says crickets. Nobody believes that. Drew calls LeBron the bust. Victor says, look, Anthony Davis is the only NBA player with an access ramp. That's just brutal. Gosh. And then he says, now LeBron has an access ramp too. Only difference is, though, LeBron's has a red carpet, a velvet rope, and a fountain of joy juice. Oh, my God. Oh, my. That is messed up. Oh, gosh. Thank you. And keep the comments coming because I just enjoy talking to my VIPs out here, the VIP zone. If you want to watch this live and participate and throw comments in the chat, that's where the lifeblood of this show happens, with them. And I appreciate each and every last one of them. Now, we have come to the part of the show and the program where I hate this. I really hate this. So, here is the next Dolt of the Week. Dolts of the Week is sponsored by nobody. The winner of this episode's Dolts of the Week is JJ Redick. Sit on down. And why is he getting this ignominious honor? I'm so glad you asked. He gets the honor of Dolt of the Week because, for some reason, even as a former NBA player, he seemingly cannot get his head out of his behind. I don't understand what it is. I really don't get it, JJ. So what is it? Please tell me, what is it? Is it that you just feel as though you're holier than thou in your stance, or is it that basically you really love the smell of your ass? Tell me, which one is it? Because I don't know what it is, and I don't want to guess what it is. But what I do know is that your takes about the old school need to stop. Focus on what you know best. You know today's player. I know you understand history, and I know you have the stats for all of us. You probably study more stats than most of us will probably ever remember. So I understand that, but your lane is today's player. You understand today's player because you just got out the league about a couple of years ago. That's your lane. Stay in it. Don't try to talk about old school stuff. Like when this past week you said that Larry Bird is not one of the best three-point shooters of all time. And then you get hot when a person who actually played against him basically calls you out on your stuff. Like when Dominique Wilkins, former Hawk and Hall of Famer, when he basically termed Redick's viewpoint to be stupid because he happened to be on the court seeing many of those threes being shot by him. So Redick decided to clap back, and he decided to call all of this a trope. Players of past decades, of enduring and incurring more physical play than those of today. And he went on to say basically this, to basically insult those of us who think opposite and otherwise. Quote, the trope that every old talking head uses, like Mad Dog Russo, Stephen A. Smith, physicality. My entire point about this segment was that outside of hard fouls and fighting, the physicality, the basketball play is not that much different than today's NBA. But it's become such a talking point that people take it as gospel. Close quote. Actually, no, they're not taking that as gospel, but they're taking basically the fact that you have diarrhea of the mouth as gospel because you had the nerve about a few months prior render Bob Cousy, a Hall of Famer who played back in the 50s and 60s, when you basically ruled him in terms of the stats that you have to be ineffective in saying, well, quote, did Bob Cousy ever shoot 40% from the field? Close quote. It don't matter. It doesn't matter. He has rings on one set of hands. One set of fingers on a hand. Can you claim the same, Mr. Redick? Sir, you played in the league. You have the same amount of rings as I do. Come on, bro. Really? Really? So you're going to go with these, well, I have the analytics and this is what it shows me. Okay. Well, let's go there. The best shooter that I know of, and I think you will not debate me when I say this, is Stephen Curry. What else? Stephen Curry II. I think he's the best shooter ever. And we'll just go from the three-point line. He's at 43%. Yes, I know, and I'm aware that it's probably a couple of players who have a higher percentage from three than Curry. I know that. But I basically use Curry because to me, that's the measuring stick. Bird, for a career, shot 38% from three. Now, I can go on with the game didn't call for players to shoot threes as much, and Bird didn't really have to attempt it all the time. There were times Bird, in a few seasons, he shot over 40% from three. And this is a player who did this in the 1980s. If you stick him into now, with the shooting touch he has, he'd be right up there with Curry. Because he'd be able to shoot it more and he'd be able to make it more. So don't give me this excuse of, well, Bird isn't one of the best three-point shooters in the game. Yes, he is. In a time when the three-point shooting wasn't even a strategy, he was one of the best to ever do it. And people were saying back then, Mr. Redick. And so I guess I can school you, sir, because when Bird was playing, you were in elementary school. So I will do you a solid, sir. When NBA players were playing back in the 80s, it was an absolute badge of honor if a player shot over 33% from the three-point line. Badge of honor. It was actually considered a stud-like thing if they shot from 30% beyond the arc. Basically, between 25 and 30%, you were considered good back in the 80s. You shot 30 to 33%, you were great. You shot anything over 33% in that time, you were elite. Guess where Bird falls? So, sir, since you are crying about, well, you can't really transfer era to era, and you can't say that the era was more physical then than it is now. Yes, we can. I most certainly can, because I saw the product. Come on! The game was more physical then than it is now. And yes, you still had guys who whined to the refs. Yes, you still had play where people feigned fouls or flopped. Yes, you had players who took advantage of rules. You know, like Reggie Miller kicking out and when he attempted three to draw a foul. Yes, you had that then as you do now. But you know what we didn't have then as we do now? We alluded to it, and some in the VIP zone alluded to it. The noodle between the ears. You want to see where the physicality stops? Right here. When people say that today's era is soft, Redick, they're saying that the brain matter and the cojones are soft. They're basically saying that the NBA players today have no balls. They are saying, Mr. Redick, that the NBA players today have no balls. They're saying, Redick, that the NBA players today, when the physicality is not as big or not as valued or not as much as it was back in the day, they're saying that the NBA players today have no balls.
Yes!
That's what they're saying. They're saying they lack the testicular fortitude to actually power through and go on. They're saying that the mentality is soft. And that's where the physicality is gone, because now in this day and age, you have many teams who play zone defense versus one-on-one, where actually hand checking was legal. So even by that definition alone, it means that era was more physical than this one. But you choose not to see it. I know you're thinking, Mr. Redick, that today's version is cool, but yesterday's version,
This whole thing stinks to high heaven.
And I know when you hear the old timers, as you say, or the veterans and the legends of the game, as I say, when they comment and basically saying you need to stay in your lane, that you basically respond to them in kind, especially on your podcast like this. That's how people who actually know the sport regard you. You see, now, unfortunately, you, sir, and I'm gonna make my friend Cool McCain happy when I say this. You, sir, are resembling a player who is gone from the court into the analyst chair. And you, sir, are resembling someone who went from the field to the analyst chair. You, sir, are the NBA version of LaShawn McCoy. You, sir, are the NBA's version of Shady. And what I do not like about you in this regard, sir, is that you're showing an utter lack of respect for what came before you. And what makes it even worse, you played. So there is an excuse for you to show such utter lack of respect for the ones who came before you, because you learned from those in the 90s, and I was hoping the 80s, but I guess you hadn't, because you must have forgotten that Bird shooting 38% from the three-point line actually was considered elite, like people consider Curry from 43% now shooting being, because you're acting as though you did not study. And I'm thinking to myself, you played the sport. You played the sport on a professional level, and you're showing an utter lack of respect. How dare you? I'm sick of talking about you, man. You disgust me. Get out my face. The pitch clock, Ghost Runner, shifting bands, bigger bases. What do I think about all of that? Well, come on back and you'll know.
This is a BS3 Network presentation.
I want to show that attainability. I want to show the accessibility of this kind of lifestyle.
From social media to having conversations with friends and family, you always have to put on face and say face.
What brings a smile to my face is the one person that totally believes in me, and that's my beautiful wife, Jody.
I just had to stop because I didn't value myself. I didn't love myself. And it's like, I have to learn to love myself.
Changing the world one conversation at a time. This is Revelations. Are you looking for something to do on your lunch break? Well, there's a show on the BS3 Network that has only 4 words to say to you.
We ready. We ready. We ready for y'all.
The Lunch Break with AJ, powered by JM&E. Live weekdays at noon Central.
Coming up on next week's Cole Sports, we're of course going to climb into conference championship waters of the NCAA realm, talk about some combine stuff in the NFL realm. Of course, we're going to go in, probably send another email, and we'll have another Dolt of the Week as we always do. But that is for next week. We are done for this week. And before we get to the last topic, back to the VIP zone we go. Victor Locke, being the star that he is, he says, look, all Dolts of the Week are certified graduates of Stupid University, where everyone graduates magna cum stupid. Victor also says, look, has JJ Redick also been drinking the joy juice or the shay cray cray? Lord, probably so. And this is actually a nod as to what I did last week for the last week's Dolt of the Week. When this is typed, Victor also says that can also be said for the All-Stars at the All-Star Weekend. They have no balls. Sorry. Prove otherwise, please. Please prove otherwise. And don't give me a picture of Nikola Jokic getting a cut on his arm. I'm sure the VIP zone can back me up when I say we've seen worse. And I'm sure many of the BS3 network viewing on Roku TV can say, yes, we've seen worse. And we're talking about on the basketball court, we've seen. Heck, I've seen worse on the baseball diamond than a nick on an arm. Get real. Really? Okay, anyway. Woosah. From the hardwood to the diamond. And I know change is necessary for the sport to advance, and many have been saying that the game is boring and it needs a sprucing, it needs an update, it needs a boost, right? So, credit to Major League Baseball, they tried to get a boost, but will these boosts work? Well, this is where I go in. So in an effort to speed up the pace of play and make the game more enjoyable for fans nationwide and in Canada, Major League Baseball is instituting this season its most significant set of rules changes since the adoption of the designated hitter 50 years ago. Now, the new rules impact almost every facet of the game: pitching, hitting, fielding, and base running. With spring training on the way and the rules being enforced in actual games, we take a look at what the changes are and what I think they were trying to accomplish and what challenges might happen. So let's start with the fielding aspect. So the shift rule. Now, what has been in vogue the last, I'd say maybe 4 or 5 years, is that whatever hitter is at the plate, wherever they're strongest, you would have more fielders in field for sure. Shift to the side where they believe the hitter will go the majority of the time. So the strategy worked in terms of this was happening on 1/3 of all plate appearances. Now, the strategy was more pronounced against left-handed hitters because they frequently resulted in having those lefties being thrown out on ground balls to the second baseman playing in right field. And so they wanted to stop that. So with the number of singles per game reaching an all-time low last year, and in 2021 and in 2020, and even the overall batting average being 243, that's the lowest it's been in 55 years, MLB wanted to see if they could have more balls in play turn into hits. So they wanted to eliminate the shift, the overshift, and they think it will help. And so at the start of each pitch, teams must have at least 2 infielders on the right side and 2 infielders on the left. And they may not switch positions unless a substitution is made. Now, of all the rules that is instituted, I like this one the most. Now, did the shift really affect me? Not really. I'm cool with the shift. But if they're going to ban the shift, I understand why they're banning it, and it probably will make for more interesting play and more hits. And of course, as we know in football, offense sells. Now, from the fielding to the base running. So, as number of home runs have risen in recent years, stolen base attempts have declined sharply. And so teams are now playing for the beginning instead of for manufacturing the single run. The anticipation of stolen bases is added an extra excitement to the game way back when, but has been more than absent in this time of game. So MLB is wanting to make things a little more interesting by making the bases slightly larger. Of course, making the runner have less distance to travel and cover to make it safely. And they're hoping that it increases the percentages of successfully stealing a base. Larger bases also help reduce the odds of injury from collisions between a fielder and a runner. Now, the previous base I guess you say dynamics and dimensions, it was 15 inches. Now it's 18 square inches. It decreases, of course, the distance between first and second by about 4.5 inches. And it's from home plate to first base, it decreases it by 3 inches. Now, in addition to that, pitchers are also limited to a maximum of 2 pickoff attempts per plate appearance. And if the pitcher attempts a third pickoff throw and doesn't get the runner, that's an automatic balk, and all runners move up 1 base. Let me say something about that last one right there. I think I've seen umpires over the last couple of decades actually pull off that move, even if the pitcher didn't perform a balk. And I think that was engendered, encouraged, supported by Major League Baseball upper offices. Because I think if a pitcher just were to repeatedly go to first base, and I've seen it, especially from left-handed pitchers, I've seen them repeatedly go to first and have the same motion and not do anything different. The fourth from the first, and all of a sudden it's a balk that's called. So I could see why that's a rules change that would be. Will it? To me, will it encourage more base stealing? You have teams that basically are playing like old school American League teams. They want to get 2 guys on base and have the heavy hitter clean up the base with a 3-run homer or a grand slam if the bases are loaded. The sport right now is geared toward the heavy back cleaning up the plate. And I don't think you can have the bases be 55 square feet. It still is going to be who can produce the big hit. So from base running to extra innings. The ghost runner. Now, this isn't a new concept because this past offseason, it was permanently implemented since 2020, but they decided to not do it in 2021 and 2022. Now, the idea in 2020 was to cut down on long games and prevent pitchers from being overused in the pandemic-shortened season. It seemed to add a new layer of strategy and increase scoring considerably in extra innings, with teams and players overwhelmingly expressing their support of keeping it. And basically, for those who want to understand, starting in 10th inning, I guess, you'll have a runner on second and didn't earn his way on it. Like he didn't hit a single in advance, and he did hit a double. He basically just runs out from the dugout when the top of 10th happens, and he stands on second. Here's where I get angry. Do I really believe that this rule is going to help anything? Do I believe this would be something that, in the long run, that I think would be supported?
You for real?
Yeah. Now, I get why major leaguers are signing off on it. Yeah. Anything, I guess, that shortens the game, that's fine. But
You've got to be joking me.
a ghost runner? Earn your opportunity to score those runs. Earn it. You don't have to have somebody arbitrarily just run from the dugout to get on second and then score, and they don't have a hit or a walk to their credit. That's where I'm like, no. You're changing too much of baseball to where it was to how it is now. And speaking of that, we get to pitching. And that is the pitch clock. Now, many were saying that the game was boring and the games were going on too long because the average time for a major league game in 2022 was 3 hours and 6 minutes. But that actually was down from 2021 when an average major league game was 3 hours, 11 minutes. Yet and still, though, it reinforced the perception that today's Major League Baseball games tends to have a long stretch of inactivity. So in order to speed things up, MLB wanted to cut down on the number of times pitchers and batters were allowed to stop play. With that comes the pitch clock. With that comes the pitch clock.
What?
The pitch clock.
What?
The pitch clock, Stone Cold.
What?
The pitch clock. I'm getting a headache just saying those three words. All right. Objectively, the pitch clock is supposed to be a 30-second timer between batters and a time limit between pitches. Now, after receiving the ball from the catcher or umpire, pitchers are required to begin their motion within 15 seconds with the bases empty, or 20 seconds with runners on base. Now, if they don't, they're charged with an automatic ball. That's for the pitcher. For the batter, the responsibility they share in keeping the activity going and the game moving, they must be in the batter's box and ready for the pitch by the time the clock reaches 8 seconds. If not, they're charged with an automatic strike. A batter can call timeout only once per plate appearance. Leon. Inspector Todd.
This whole thing stinks to high heaven.
What?
This whole thing stinks to high heaven.
What?
This whole thing stinks to high heaven.
Am I excited about this rule change?
No!
The game was fine as it was. It did not need changing. It did not need tweaking from that aspect. Because I remember the games were actually longer than 3 hours, 11 minutes. And Major League Baseball got to the pitchers and got to the batters, and they were saying, look, they were taking too much time. Speed the game up just a little bit. Policing the players on the field without needing the visual aid of a pitch clock, I think was actually doing well. But I knew it was going to happen because the pitch clock was instituted in the minor leagues roughly 5-6 years ago. And so we knew it was going to move in that direction. I just did not want it to happen. And why? Because the game is good as it is. I mean, I get why they're doing it. Baseball feels as though they are caught in this time warp. They feel as though the game is antiquated.
What?
They feel the game is stingy.
What?
They feel the game is stagnated.
What?
They feel the game is not advanced.
What?
They feel the game is decrepit.
What?
They feel the game is moving slow.
What?
They feel the game is old.
What?
Old.
What?
Old.
What?
Old.
What?
Geriatric. They think the game is old. And so they did these study groups that I think we aren't really aware of, where people basically said that the game needs to be picked up in pace. To me, these games need to be unique, all their own. With hockey, they skate. No other sport, at least of the major ones, skate. No other sport is contested on ice. Hockey is unique from that aspect, but they are relegated by time. Basketball, they play on hardwood. That distinguishes them from every other major sport. Now, of course, I know volleyball, they play on hardwood at times too, and probably even cricket. But the major, or I should say curling, but in major athletics, the major sports, basketball sets themselves apart because it's played on wood. Yet they are regulated by time. Football. Now, you can say, well, baseball also plays on grass. Well, for the most part, just like football plays on grass for the most part. But it separates itself from the rest of the sport by actually colliding with one another every single play. Not even in hockey can you say that. But even they are relegated by time. Baseball was not. And I did not want to say was not. I want to say is not. Was not. It is a sport where you're supposed to just forget about time. Time has no place in the activity of the sport. You see, in my opinion, this is done because Major League Baseball is happy on having these local night games start at 7:30. Meaning that I'm in Nashville. Meaning that if the game was in New York, first pitch would be 6:30, my time. If the game was in LA, it would be 9:30, my time for first pitch. If that is the case, move the times forward. That's a simple adjustment. Move it forward. Heck, have first pitch be 6:30 local time. I would think, okay, rush hour, people clock out at 5. They probably have to deal with it for about an hour, maybe an hour, 10 minutes. 6:30 would be a good enough time. 7? No. Or no, 7? Maybe. 7:30? No, that's too late. And then when you get further in the playoffs, the first pitch starts later. So to me, these rules that are instituted to have the younger fan enjoy the sport, well, the younger fan's not going to enjoy the sport all that much because their bedtime, I'll do it with me. In elementary school, my bedtime was 8. Junior high school, my bedtime was 9. When I was in high school, my bedtime was 10. You're trying to appeal to them. And I'm sorry, they're not going to see these games if you're going to start them late as you do. So it doesn't matter if you have 10 seconds for a pitch clock or 50. It doesn't matter if you have 100 seconds or a million. What does matter is you want these times to start and end at a good point. Now, as an adult, it doesn't matter to me, although although for some jobs I do get up early, and I would have to miss the end of the games anyway. But as an adult, it doesn't matter to me because I can watch the game from beginning to end and then go to bed. So I'm good with that as an adult. As a child, though, no. It doesn't appeal to them. Oh, and for you, Joseph, and for you, Ryan, you all say to me that, well, the pitch clock is great. Now, Joseph, I don't know the team that you represent. Ryan, I know yours. Imagine we're watching a Yankees Red Sox game. I'm not going to put Astros in this. Imagine you watching a Yankees Red Sox game. And it's a 1-2 count on Aaron Judge. It's the bottom of the ninth. The Red Sox are up 3-2. There's a runner on second, and it's 2 outs. And imagine that Judge doesn't get into the box in time. You would not be happy if a called third strike is made on him and he doesn't get to swing the bat. Or, same scenario, bottom of the ninth, runner on second, and the Yankees are up 3-2. And Garrett Cole is actually doing something that most pitchers don't do these days. He's actually trying to complete a game. But normally it would be a stopper. I would put Aroldis Chapman, but you choke me because you would know that I would be joking. I would be poking fun at you because Aroldis Chapman absolutely is atrocious. But Garrett Cole is pitching a complete game or trying to. Full count. Anybody. Dustin Pedroia. Doesn't matter who's up at the plate. But say that it's a full count. And Garrett Cole does not throw the ball in time. Without a ball forward being thrown, another runner is put on base. You see, that's where I have the problem, because when you're going to get into the time where it's going to affect players like Yordan Alvarez or Mike Trout or Aaron Judge or Shohei Ohtani, that's where you're going to have the issue. That's where you're going to have the problem, and that's where you're going to say this does not work because it is impugning the integrity of the game. It is clogging the works. It's getting too caught up in the quagmire of rules, and that the players aren't deciding the game. That is my overarching problem with the ghost runner and the pitch count. To me, it's not the players that's deciding the game, which I grew up all my life being taught that's what it's about. It's really these rules that are, and a clock that will. That's what I have the problem. And I can't see myself past this problem. And unfortunately, it's making a game that I so love become unrecognizable in such a quick fashion. And I don't like that because baseball is the first sport I grew to love. So basically, baseball, to me, I think you need to take those clocks and get them out of here. It has no place in the game. And the ghost runner, let these teams earn the runs. Forget the time. Let these players earn it. Don't put these victories or losses on silver platters, but that's what you're doing. I know that the pitch clock is here to stay, but I guarantee you're going to lose fans more than you think you're going to gain them, because this crap has got to go. One more time to the fanatic. I'm sorry. One more time to the VIP zone. Let me actually switch off one hat, put on the other. And to the fanatic feedback zone we go to. Victor Locke says, look, I've agreed, man. We have seen worse. Talking about the last segment. He also says, here's what worries me about these new rules implemented. Kids of this generation heard about the games and series of Legend of Baseball. Now they'll see these new games and be like, is this it? Yes, that's exactly how I would feel. And that's exactly my point too. It's a game that we won't recognize, and we'll explain it to them. It's like, really? I thought you said it was this. It isn't. And then they won't be wrong because it isn't. Ryan says, it'll be sad we'll probably never see dynamic base stealers like Ricky Henderson or Vince Coleman ever again. Yeah. Yeah. And Victor says, now that I've heard this rule, and I did this intentionally because I wanted to unbiasedly put forth what the rule is and what it implements and what it's supposed to do. He says, it's beyond stupid. Mm-hmm. Yes. And I think that was actually when I was in the Ghost Runner point. But definitely pitch count. Pitch clock, I'm not digging. Ryan says, look, or in the words of Reverend Pastor, Duke Bishop, etc. I'm not talking about fools who skate and spit tea. Oh my gosh. Ryan again says, it was Drew who said he liked the pitch clock. Thank you. I'm sorry, Ryan. Drew, thank you. Sorry. So let me paint this scenario for Drew. Okay. Just put a Brave in that slot. Imagine that. Imagine any of your Braves having an opportunity to drive in runs, yet it can't. He strikes out because he doesn't swing a bat, or the pitcher gets ball 4 and he doesn't throw a pitch. That's the issue that I have with it. Thank you, Ryan. I'm sorry, brother. Victor says, look, this is the problem with these rules. They're going to completely ruin the fundamentals and mechanics of the game of baseball. Could not have said it better, sir. 100% correct. And Ryan says, Mr. Chapman will play in the anonymity of the Kansas City Royals this season. Don't have to worry about him blowing saves for the Yankees. True. And actually, I'm glad y'all don't have to worry about Chapman blowing leads and blowing saves, because it's a crime to have that weapon of a 100-mile-an-hour fastball, and it's absolutely useless. Anyway, if you feel led to donate to this program, all you have to do is go to cash.app/$hostcolejohnson. That's cash.app/$hostcolejohnson. Well, thank you to the VIP Zone. Thank you for the BS3 Network for televising this. Thank you for the YouTube channel for doing this live, along with LinkedIn, along with Twitch, along with Twitter, and along with Facebook. Thank you so much for the time. And VIPs, I love you. Thank you for being the lifeblood of this show that is for the intelligent sports person. I am Cole Johnson, and this is...
Thank you for tuning in to Cole Sport. To download this episode, go to Spreaker and type Cole Sports with a Z. For apparel, go to Spring and type Cole Sports VIP Boutique. That's with a Z. To reach Cole Johnson, go to flowcode.com/page/host Cole Johnson. This has been a Comey Media Incorporated presentation.